Alright, so we're going to make this test piece to cut out on the CNC machine. So here's your tube. I modeled mine. Yours may be thicker or longer or thinner or whatever, right? So let's start by making the holes. So I'm going to sketch on this side, and let's do a line, a construction line, and I'm going to do it right down the middle. So if I kind of go over this and I hold shift, I can get the center right there, and then I can come to right there, and I have a line that goes straight down the middle now. So I'm going to hit escape, and I'm going to make holes on this line. So the easiest way to do it is just create a circle and extrude it, right? There's a hole tool, but we haven't gotten into that. So I'm going to put 5 holes, so maybe one here, and that's good. And then, whoops, you don't want these to be construction, so I'm going to turn off the construction line. So I have to select this circle, turn off construction. Remember to turn off construction before you make your circles. So here's a second one, maybe 0.2, and here's a third one. Here's a fourth one, and a fifth one. Alright, so got those. And now I can extrude those circles. So let's go extrude. I'm going to pick just the circles. I might have to zoom in a little bit. There's one. No. There we go. And I'm going to cut those. And if you want to make it easy, you can see how I'm cutting through here. If you want to make it easy, you could just cut these all the way through the other side, and then you have your holes on both sides. Or you could just flip it over and sketch on the other side, right? I'm going to do this the easy way. So now I've got holes in both sides of my tube. Alright, so let's go do the setup, right? So I'm going to start by saving this. I called it holes test. You don't have to put anything here. I'm just going to click OK. Okay, so we're going to go to the manufacture tab. So we're going to change from designing to manufacturing. And the first thing you have to do is create a setup. So you go under setup, and in a setup, I'm going to click home. You have to tell the machine where home is going to be, right? So when we cut parts, we always want the bottom left to be home, which is this corner right here. So I want to put this in with this bottom corner facing up on the machine. But my origin and stuff is wrong, so I need to fix it. So first I'm going to go over to stock, and where it says stock offset mode, I'm going to change to no additional stock. Now back on setup, first pick the machine. So this will pop up, and if you imported the correct machine, that's your only option. Click it, select, now you've got your machine. Make sure this says milling. The orientation, we're not going to use the model orientation depending on what yours looks like. Mine looks wrong, so I have to go fix it. So I'm going to pick Z-axis plane and X-axis. So it asks me for my Z-axis. My Z-axis is going to be the face that's going to be up when I mill. So that's going to be this face. I want to cut these holes in that face, so I'm going to select that, and now my Z points up. Alright, so we kind of rearrange this to get what it's going to look like. So this is how it's going to look on the bed of the CNC machine. That's pointing up. But now we need to get the X to point the other way. So what you can do is, let's select the X-axis. So I'll pick this edge right here because it points along X, and now it works. If my X was pointing the wrong way, so let's say it looked like this, I could just click the X and flip it to the other side. Okay, so now it's set up right. That's my Z is pointing upwards, my X is pointing to the right. Now I need to get the origin to be down on this bottom corner. So here where it says stock box point, change it to model box point. and then you're going to click on this bottom left corner. And that's your origin. Right? So now your machine is set up. You don't have to worry about anything else. If you turn no additional stock on, you don't have to worry about these other two. So we've done our setup. Here's our origin. I'm going to press OK. So my setup is done. Now we're going to go, once you have a setup and you've told the machine where everything's at, now you can go actually do an operation. So for this one we're going to do a bore. So I'm going to go bore, and I'm going to choose the tool, press select, and this window should pop up for the tools. So if you imported your tools correctly, you can go to K40 lathe, the CNC tools, and we're going to use the 4mm pin mill. So you click that, and we're doing aluminum, so make sure aluminum's selected, and then just click select. So now that you got the tool, don't mess with any of these numbers. We're going to go to geometry. So geometry, we're going to go pick these 5 holes. And if you roll this up, you can look and see that it's cutting through those holes. We don't want it to cut all the way down. What we'll do is we'll just flip the piece and run the program again. Okay, so I have my holes picked. So now we can go to heights. So if I click on this and look straight on, to drill a hole you have to drill all the way through, right? But you can see this is stopping right at the bottom. We want to make sure that it goes all the way through. So what you're going to do is don't mess with any of these. Go to bottom height, change bottom height to -0.02. And now you can see it's going to drill through. Press OK. So, well, one more thing. If I want to change something, I can go back here. I did the heights. I want to change the angle just to make this a little faster. So if you go to passes, change your angle to 5 degrees. And now you can press OK. So now our bore is done. So you can click home and kind of line it up like this and zoom out a little bit, and now we can actually see if it's going to work. So up here at the top, you can either go actions, simulate, or if you change your toolbar, you can pick the simulate one. Don't do simulate with machine, you want just simulate. And then you have a little slider that shows how fast it's going. You can press play, and it'll simulate running that toolpath. And you can change the speed, right? So this is going slow. You can make it go really fast. But just make sure that it's not doing anything crazy. And then you can press exit simulation, right? And so when you're done with that, you can go up here to the top on setup or NC program if you have it in your toolbar. Click NC program, and you're going to give it a name. So you're going to call it your name. So, and then we'll say test. And this is we'll put a comment because when we load the program it shows the comments. So this is my whole test piece. And you have to make sure this unit box is set to millimeters. Don't be in inches. You can design in inches, but before you export the program, this has to be in millimeters. All this other stuff, don't touch. Okay? So we're going to select OK, and it's going to save that program for me to come get off the flash drive later, and we can cut it. And that's how to make a basic test part cutting holes. If you wanted to cut different holes on the bottom, what you could do is create a new setup, right? I could do another setup, and I could flip this piece over and set my origin to be here instead of on the other side, and then I could run the same programs and then do the NC program. But for what we're doing, it's easiest just to run one and then flip it and then run the other. And so that's how to make a simple program to cut some holes.